Hello, lovely viewers. Welcome to the Lost Stone TV. We have today a very important discussion we want to have, and my guest will join us very soon. But before he joins us, I want us to have this few introduction. And before then, I want to appreciate everyone joining us and those who will be joining later. We have in our country the need to ensure that literacy is enhanced. Everyone is able to read and write effectively, especially on preschool, preparing for primary education. And we know the challenge we have in our system. The challenge being that research shows that about 60% of primary school students are not able to read and understand what they read. About 60% of primary students, especially in class 3, are not able to read and write. And this is a concern. I believe that as educators, as parents, and as stakeholders, we need to be concerned about this very important issue. Why is it that a child goes to school from crèche all the way to KG? We have KG 1 and 2. Now, roughly about 5 to 6 years of the child's life is being spent preparing for primary education. And then the child gets to class 1, is not able to read even sometimes 2 simple word sentences, 3 simple word sentences. And interestingly enough, the schools and teachers are doing their best. But you see, there has been a change in curriculum. And that has called for a different approach and means to how we can teach effectively. But oftentimes, we get stuck to our old ways of doing things and expect new results. And for me, as a trainer, for me, as someone who is so much concerned about the foundational level of learners, I'm not able to appreciate the fact that why would someone spend their early years in school and not able to read and write? It's a big concern for me. So Ghana faces several challenges in primary level literacy, with 54.5% to 92.5% of people scoring 0 in oral reading assessments, and roughly 62% to 80% of children unable to read proficiently by the end of primary school. Only about 7% of grade 3 students possess required reading skills, indicating a significant crisis in foundational learning. So this is the information out there that in Ghana, about 60% of primary 3 students are not able to read and understand what they read. I believe as parents, we take our children to the best of schools. Most often it's the infrastructure that determines whether the school is good or not. So, and then the course, if the course is high, it means that there is quality education there. These are some of the reasons we rush our children to schools that we think are going well. By the end of the day, we realize that the real essence of education is not going on in our classrooms. Let me give this example. What is learning? Learning must lead to a permanent change in behavior. That's the essence of learning. So if you are teaching a child and the child is not able to understand whatever you are teaching the child, it means you are not teaching effectively. You are not teaching effectively. Because at the end of the day, it should translate into learning. And that learning means there should be a change in behavior of that learner. The learner being able to see any word, able to pronounce it. And let me also look at this. Recently, I was doing a training, and then one of the teachers were like, "Oh, our teachers then did very well. How come they were able to help us to learn and read?" And today we are struggling to teach these learners. And do you know the answer? The answer is simple. There was a system called roots teaching and learning, and they had ample time for reading. So there was a time where everyone had a textbook, and then the teacher will allow everyone to read in turns. Today, we have what we call phonics, and phonics is being taught to our learners, and yet they are not able to read and write. So I have with me my guest, Reverend Justice. I've known him for years. We've never met, but thank God through my book, one of the books I wrote on learning strategies, the art of applying critical thinking skills, and then one on the secret to discovering purpose and career. And then he got in touch later to say it has been a blessing to him, which I've heard so many people giving that comment. So I want to appreciate you for that comment and for the feedback. But recently, the education minister made a point. His point was that he asked a university student to spell match, and the student ended up spelling MUCH instead of MATCH. For me, having an understanding of phonics, there's nothing wrong with that because match and match sounds the same. So there's no challenge with that. But the challenge of his second concern is that he asked the student to spell urgent, and the student ended up spelling agents. And then this is a big concern for me and for those who really understand how foundational teaching informs further years of learning. Learning is incremental to the child the rest of their educational life. Then Reverend got in touch and we're having a very nice conversation. I said, Reverend, look, I don't want us to end our conversation just with food. I want us to have this live to talk about the effect of phonics instruction in our current educational system and its impacts on literacy development in Ghana. If what we have now is what we are holding on to, then I'm afraid the next few years, our students will be busy going to school, but they will not be able to read, write, and understand whatever we put in front of them. So, Reverend, thank you for your time. Please, you can introduce yourself.
Thank you so much, my brother Aaron. Thank you. I really, really appreciate what you are doing in respect with the education of the child, you know. And if they are talking about girls, they'll say the girl child, the boy child. But now we say the child, the children, you know. Thank you so much for having great interest in the foundational preparation of children, you know, for entire success in life. You know, he asked me to introduce myself, but I'm trying to appreciate him for what he's doing first. You know, my name is Reverend Justice. I'm into full-time ministry. I have right from secondary school, I went into teaching, and even when I went ahead with the tertiary institution, I still have this love for children and how they are developing. And so even in ministry, I started out with teaching children, you know. So the plight of children has been of a great concern to me. You know, in the Bible says in Psalm 11 verse 3 that if the foundation be destroyed, what can the righteous do? You know, so it doesn't matter how right a child is being brought up. It doesn't matter how the child is ready, you know, but the foundation we're laying for the child, if it's not properly laid, then it has effects in his or her entire life. You know, there are some children that when they are, I mean, not children, some adults are not very bold when it comes to like reading, you know, publicly. You know, why? It's because of the foundation. The child has not mastered the alphabet, he has not mastered the sounds of letters, he has not mastered, you know, the patterns, you know, that letters form that makes it easy to pronounce, you know, and as a result of it, it affects them. Now, like Aaron, you were saying concerning a teacher or some people who were having a conversation and was like, our teachers in the past taught us very well and we were able to read. Now it got to your point to also pass the same teachings that you got, and it looks like it's failing. Why? It boils down to the foundation. How were you taught? You see, how were you taught? If you were taught well, you will recognize it enough to be able to pass it out. You see, I believe strongly that some of the children that I had the opportunity to teach, even at the nursery, will be able to pass on the same information that I pass on to them, you know, at that level, because it was such a teaching, foundational teaching, that they can't they can't forget it. You see, because it started at their early child, as when they were very, very, very young, you know. I don't know whether Aaron is ready for me to go into phonics and things like that now, but you asked me to introduce myself, so I'll pause here and then allow you to ask the other questions. So the
Okay,
conversation
great.
very well. Yeah.
Um, Great. You've made mention of the fact that they've not been taught well. That's why there's a challenge of transferring what they know to our learners.
Mhm.
Now, can we say that now that we have a new curriculum that is learner-centered, our teachers have the right skills, the methodologies to teach the current curriculum?
Well, I
Can we
can't.
say that the teachers we have now, even in phonics,
Yeah, I can't. I cannot sit here and say that the teacher has the methodologies, and I believe that some way somehow, I mean, the methodologies are there, but you know, phonics. I don't think anybody, because if you did not get it right from your own foundation, you know, how many, if we make a case study, we bring adults, you know, adults who have gone through school and begin to talk to them about phonics, you will find out that they learned to read in various ways. You see, they learned to read in various ways, and some of them painstakingly arrived at reading, not knowing how they arrived there. You know, when I was in school, I don't remember being taught phonics specifically. What was done in our time, I'm talking about in my primary elementary schools, what was done at that time is that we learn the alphabets, And then we end up also in the tree or the fancy classes. We learn the way the alphabets in our local language. And because you'll be surprised to know that uh, our local language was taught to us by foreigners. The British taught us our fancies and our errors and
Then we
our.
are having some.
Do you hear me?
I think we are having some network delays and challenges. Everyone, can you
Okay.
hear me?
I can hear you. Can you also hear me?
Okay. Okay. So yes, you've left Ghana. You've been around until you left. Yeah, I can hear you clearly. You've left the US now, and I want to give you a brief overview of what is happening now in our classrooms. I
Okay.
do monitoring and supervision in some of the schools, and I
Okay.
can tell you for a fact that phonics basically has to do with decoding the sound of letters and
Sure.
helping learners understand how to combine them and then mention it as a word.
Hmm.
What is happening in our classroom is that we are still busy teaching ABCD. And truth be told, ABCD doesn't help in reading. So when we spend the early life of the child teaching things that will not help in the later in the upper levels, then we are wasting the time span of the child. We are wasting their time. That's what I've noticed. We are teaching even two. We are teaching capital letters, upper cases.
Hmm.
A child in KG 1 and 2 is being taught still how to write ABCD in upper cases. But you and I know that upper cases usage is basically for starting a letter, starting a sentence, and when it's a proper noun.
Hmm.
The child often will see lower cases throughout his or her life.
Yes.
So there is a lack of understanding of how to teach our learners at the lower level. The next challenge is that there is the challenge of teaching phonics from their technical point of view without teaching it from an application point of view. So they come and say we are teaching digraphs or diagrams. What do? They teach SH, CH, and all that. And then they have so many words that comes with pictures. Now the child is trying to pronounce the word not from the text point of view, but from the picture point of view.
Hmm.
So if the child is pronouncing a word from a picture point of view, when will the child really have time to learn the text?
Yeah.
Then
You
there's the
want.
sound challenge. The sound challenge. Some letters have our conversation is based on the sound. So I'll give you ample time to throw more light on one of the sounds or any other you feel led to. The next challenge is the sound of the alphabet. We are teaching the sound from an angle of just only one sound. English is very, very dynamic. Based on the positioning of the letter, it can change or it does change. So we teach the A, R, B, B, and all that. And then there's one word, you. We are using you and saying that you is a. So one day in the course of training, I asked what's the sound. They all said I said okay. So I put on the board Pull. Let them mention it. Then they were there. They didn't know what to say. Because now you have to apply the answer you have taught the learners to mention the Pull. And then they all started laughing. I put another word, which is four-letter word. And at this level, the children at KG should know four-letter words, five-letter words. So I put it on the board, PUSH. They should mention it. And they were all laughing because they've seen that when it comes to application, you can't always insist that you are.
That's right.
Reverend,
That's it.
what do you have to say when it comes to the letter U and any other letter
I,
that
I,
you
I
feel
am
led to talk on?
I am so glad because when I was teaching, I tried out my best to master the phonics. Now, when learning phonics and trying to teach it to children, there are dynamics. That's why the best time to start phonics teaching is at the early age. Start it at the early age. Um, Start with the a, e, or as the vowels, just to start
Great.
with.
I would say crutch. Yes,
Yes, at that crèche level, yeah, preschool level, So
yes.
when you start over there. Um, as you move on, in the child's study, there are other dynamics that comes in, and all of them are easy to explain, and but it takes the teacher being very keen. See, being very keen. These teachers you were speaking to should have been able to at least tell you one or two certain dynamics that makes the letter U to take the sound U, and where it should take the sound ah. You see, when the word U, when it's behind certain consonants, or certain consonant combinations, it uses the sound U instead of using the sound ah. You understand? For example, like you mentioned, push is Push, right? Now, a good teacher should take his time and bring out all the words that have U behind SH and see whether the majority of the letter U will sound U or it will sound ah. See, when the teacher does this, he's going to help the teacher to be able to come out with, oh, I understand. Oh, I understand. So when you go to the child, you are not going to put those letters on the board, PUSH, and all that comes with it. For example, it's not all of them. It's not all of them. Now, when certain consonants are also behind or comes first, or when the letter U comes in front of certain consonants, it uses the A sound, even when it is behind SH, instead of the U sound when it is still behind SH. Let's take, for example, one, like you use PUSH is push. When you're reading your Bible and you come up around, you come by the word Cush, how will you pronounce it, Aaron? Is it not Kush? Cush. We pronounce it Kush. Now, Bush, bush, right? Um, I want some more words, but you will find out that a lot of the words will use the U. Then there are some like M, when the letter U is the letter U is in front of the letter M with the sh sound at the end, you get mash. It uses the sound ah. When it is on L, the letter L, it uses the sound ah, lush. So a good teacher is going to take his time to come out with all of these differentiations, so that the child is now aware that the letter U at certain points in certain words sounds ah, and in certain words sounds oo, and should be able to decode, like you were saying, decode that at this point, you see, and that is where the teacher is able to now find a lot of words that helps him explain where the letter U is using and where the letter U is using U, that helps, and it helps the children to understand. I did that. Let's move a little bit from the letter U and let's go to the simple letter A. Are you following me? I want to hear your sound so I will know that you are hearing me or not.
Yes. I'm with you.
Good. Now let's take the simple letter A.
Aaron. Yeah.
Let's take the simple letter A. At the beginning of teaching children from the preschool, it's okay. Let them know that the sound of the letter is A, okay? And for example, I taught them that letter A, the sound is A, and then I put it in front of almost all the consonants, you see, and we recite it. Okay, we recited it with joy, ba, ka, da, fa, ga, ha, ja, ka, la, ma, na, pa, kwa, ra, sa, ta, wa. Even the children, I taught them to know that there is always a silence letter. The letter Q always goes with a friend called letter U, but it is silence. When the letter U is in front of the letter Q, it's kwa, it's kwa, so with the A, it becomes kwa, ra, sa, ta, ta, va, wa, ya, za. At that level, so they come to class and then they are reciting ba, ka, da, fa, ga, ha, ja, ka, la, ma, na, kwa, ra, sa, ta, wa, for our recitations instead of A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K, L, which has its place. As the child moves up, you bring in, and that is what I did. So using
in other words,
go ahead.
Okay. So in other words, ABCD is okay. We can teach it. But for the sake of improving on our literacy level, there is a need to play more with the sounds of the letters.
Start with the sound of the letters.
So that it prepares the mind of the child straight from scratch.
Exactly.
As you are playing with the words ra, ru. they are playing, they are learning. And through
Exactly.
that, when it is time, let's say nursery 2 or nursery 1, they are trying to do the application, they have it off head.
Exactly.
I
Because
believe
that
that's
is,
what you are advancing.
yes, yes. That is because as they
Mm.
advance, as they advance in age, you bring in, now this same letter he learns, this child has learned that LA is La, right? Um, the same way, like I told you, you start with the vowels A, E, I, O, A, right? Now, this child has learned that LA is La. He has also learned that KE is Ke, right? That is when you now bring Be, Se, De, Fe, Ge, He, Le, Je, Ke, Re, to the last. This child has learned La as La, L-A, La. He's also learned K-E as Ke. But this child has gotten to the age where he is now is met with words like L-A-K-E. Is this child going to say lake, or how is the child going to pronounce this? See. So while you are teaching the child the foundation, with the A, E, I, O, A, you are also preparing yourself that as the child masters that level, you move the child into the level where you bring in the silence, letter E. And what that silence letter E does to the vowel in front of the consonants, you see. So the silence letter E comes in, and then it changes the sound of letter A from A to E. I used during that time, I'll say to its name letter A, because I was trying to help the children. So they've learned,
Exactly, that's what it is.
yeah,
There are some sound based on where it is positioned. Use the
exactly.
name of the letter.
That's right. So now, because of the
Yeah,
consonant,
example, you, when it comes to university, you mention university.
University. Now look at the dynamics of university. You have U, N, I. You'll find out that there is a consonant between the letter U and then another vowel.
Yes.
And as soon as there is another vowel, there is a consonant between U and another vowel, the U uses its name, U, instead of the sound A. So you have university, you have unanimous, you see, except,
Universal.
exactly, universal, except where it is compound words like unofficial. See, unofficial. Those are compound words because the UN can stand alone, and then the official can stand alone.
Yeah.
So, but all this boils
Mm,
down to the
mm.
research that the teacher is going to put in. You see, now if this teacher does a very good work in himself, understanding the changes in the sound and the names, he is going to help these children. When I started, when I was moving the children from simple hat, mat, fat, lat, parts to the same maths. I'll write the same math. They will pronounce it. They've mastered it. They will pronounce it with joy. Then I bring in, instead of maths, I bring in mates. So now they're seeing maths. They are seeing E in front of maths. And I said, okay, what word is this? Oh, then confidently, they start saying, mate. I said, no. They're like, what? What do you mean no? Because of their
Yes.
foundation. So I bring that all those kind H. I have hats, HAT over there, they will mention it. Then I bring hate. I have CAT over there, they will mention CAT, cat. I bring CAT, cat, you know. And when I have brought a lot of such words, and then I'll end up laughing at them, and they are surprised at me. We should be laughing at you. You should be laughing at us, because we have the
Yeah.
foundation. We know that
Yeah.
MA is ma and T is te. So
Exactly.
put it together, we get mate. So why are you laughing at us? Then I said, okay, as soon as you have letter E, you know, then I'll bring in the law. I'll bring in something. I created a law. I have to refresh myself to be able to get all that. But I bring in as soon as you see letter E in front of the heart, the A changes to its name, E. So instead of using the sound A, you use its name and the E becomes silent. Then I'll ask, okay, so by this, who can mention this? The A will use its name, and then you don't mention the you don't mention it. And before I see mates, I say, oh, correct. And then the children are excited. Then they end up running through all my lists
Yes.
simply.
That play base, relax. Mm. That approach, creating an environment where the teacher carry the interests and attention span of the learner in the course of the teaching is missing in majority of our classrooms.
Yeah, even during my time, it was
So
missing.
if the teacher, yeah, that is why I believe that teaching is not meant for everyone. It's a profession that when you don't have the ability and flair for it, you cannot. Despite the certificate and PhD you can have in education, if you don't have the innate ability for it, it means nothing much than someone who has not even got that PhD but has the flair for it, anything within the educational system.
Yeah,
Now, in what you said, it means that our teachers are not so much informed about the dynamic nature of phonics, the sound of
yes,
the alphabet. They are not
yes,
informed.
yeah,
And they are also not willing to go for extra information apart from what they heard on the internet. So someone creates a video of these are the sounds of the alphabet. A, A, B, B. Then they finish. Then they go to the classroom, they go and do the same thing to the learners.
and
Forgetting
even
that beyond these, beyond these sounds is the technicality of
dynamics,
where it is placed and the sound it makes.
it makes.
Truth be told, this is largely missing. This is greatly and largely missing in our classrooms. And you see, we have teachers today that's still teaching as a way of, because they are not getting employment, they just want to busy themselves there. So even when you get in and you are trying to help them understand that, look, your role as a teacher is so critical in the life of that young boy, that young girl in your class. In the next 5, 10 years, that boy is no more a boy, he's a young adult.
Yeah,
He finished university and he's become a global asset. So how do we become very intentional in maximizing the power of phonics to really enhance literacy in Ghana?
this is okay. This is a very very important question. If the problem is there, then there should be the need for one awareness. You see, like the minister who was trying to laugh, um, make mockery of the students we are producing now. I don't think he didn't. He saw the seriousness of the situation and the role he ought to play as a minister. See, this is something he should see as a problem and make it known. Let there be a study all around. Let them be sure that, yes, this is actually the problem. Now, if this is actually the problem, what do we do? There are a lot of resources. There are a lot of resources, you know. Some of the resources that I know of is there is the abcmouse.com, which helps in teaching children, you know. People should be taken, maybe a group of teachers should be taken, and they should be helped to begin to make up this research and let them come up. Now, when this research is made and a group of teachers can have their hands on such, let's distribute them and then let them help other teachers. Let them first found the knowledge and then let them pass the knowledge on to teachers without making the teachers feel bad because they didn't know it. Their teacher did not teach them. You know, they also did not know it. They didn't know. They don't even know how they came by reading. They don't know how they came by reading. You know, so if it's a problem, then let there be, first of all, let's sort for the solution. Let's centralize the solution and then let's distribute it among teachers without making them feel bad that they don't know. Because if you don't know, you don't know. You know, I'll give you an example, Aaron.
Really?
I went to.
So you made mention of awareness. There's a need to create awareness.
That the problem is there.
Please, you can continue. I thought you were done.
Oh, well, what I wanted to add is that I'm giving an example that I went to a new school and I was teaching the third grade, which is class 3 in Ghana, you know. And in class 3, they should have mastered reading, you know. So during the reading period, I asked for their reading books. The books were brought in. And then when I passed the book on. Okay, we are reading chapter so and so. Then I found out that the children could read that chapter without actually even looking at the words. I don't know how. I said, this is magic. Right? All right. So I took some of the words from that they have read and then wrote it on the board for them to mention it. And not one person could mention the word. So I realized that they've been doing what we call rote reading.
Thank you.
So I took my time and I brought them what I called. I said, from today, we are going to do foundation for reading. And I started teaching them phonics as I would teach from the preschool. I started teaching them that from class 3. I started teaching them A, E, I, O, A. I started from there, and then we moved on. And the class transformed into a class that could now read fluently. And if you bring in any book, they could read. If you bring out a word, they could mention it. And the school was really grateful that I brought such a knowledge to the school. But this was going on in the school, and there were teachers in the school, but they didn't even know that there was a problem. But I have to come in and create an awareness that there is this problem, but I have the solution also, and then we were able to solve that situation. I was supposed to class 6 to go and even do the same thing to them. So I have to go through the whole classes to help them get the foundation of reading so that we are very sure of them in their reading, even in the future. But if that was not done, these children would have carried that practice even to the junior high school and then to their secondary school, and the foundation is
Yeah.
destroyed. Thank you so much,
Yeah.
Aaron. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's very true. When I share the information that the minister spoke about, then some of the feedback I got is that even some cannot even spell, some cannot even read at the university level. So what we can say is that yes, Reverend is talking about awareness. There is a need to create awareness that phonics is the easiest and simplest form to help any learner become literate, able to read, write, and understand what they read and write.
Yeah.
And it is very dynamic. So the teacher must be ready to learn. If you are a teacher and you are not willing to learn, then you are in the wrong profession. You are in the wrong field. Every teacher must have the curiosity to become better each day, each week, each month, each term, whilst they find themselves in the classroom. If you know you don't have that ability, please, the classroom is the wrong place for you, because the future of these children is dependent on
You.
how you are able to teach them and teach them effectively.
Yeah.
Then I'll also talk about most of the learners we have, we say they are not able to read and write. No learner is unintelligent.
Exactly.
No student, no child is born unintelligent.
Yeah.
That was the premise of my first book I wrote.
Mhm.
No
That was the
learner,
one that
no child
got
is
my
born
attention.
unintelligent. If you
Yeah.
are teaching and a child, great, great. If you are a teacher and there's a child in your class and minimum 110, you are not able to enhance the reading and learning skill of that learner, then please, it is not the fault of the child. It
Yeah.
is your fault,
Yeah.
because there are lots of ways to engage in to help any and every learner despite their cognitive differences and abilities.
Yeah.
I'm saying it again. If you're a teacher and there is a child in your class, by class KG2, class 1, 2, 3, who cannot read and write and understand what they are reading and writing, know that it is not the child's fault. It is you, the teacher, who has decided to be static
Yeah.
and not dynamic.
Sure. Sure.
There are cases, I guess, some of these learners where the teachers are complaining this child is unintelligent, they are finding difficult to read and write. Within 3 months of engaging these learners, they are
Yeah.
able to read, understand
Yeah.
what they are reading within
Yeah.
3 months.
Yes. 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 I mean,
Look,
I've.
the dynamics of teaching has changed drastically from the root approach. And I want to say this: if the minister or those in the hands of affairs will appreciate that they have a direct role to play in how our classrooms and our schools are able to situate some of these principles. Because there are many types of phonics. There are many types of phonics. And as a country, we don't have a policy on the type of phonics we are using. So you go to this school, they are using Jolly Phonics. And Jolly Phonics is more an activity-based approach to reading.
Mm.
And teachers and some schools spend more than 1 hour doing activity. And then E is like this. And at the end of the day, less time is intentionally used in reading and writing.
Mm. Mm.
Please, if indeed we want to advance literacy in Ghana, let's look at the foundational level in our schools. What is the psychology and philosophy of the school owner? Is it to make money or to really educate these children? Let's look at the philosophy and ideology of the teachers we employed. Are we employing them because we don't have any teacher available, so we want anything that comes, we accept them? Are they willing to learn? Are we also willing as school owners to engage experts to come and train our teachers to do the work of real education for you whilst you make the money? Because your building is there, it's a legacy. But if your building, no matter how nice it is, what the essence of the building is to educate and train these children to be able to read, write, and understand is not going on, sorry to say, you are wasting your investment in the long term. When parents now get to know that you are not really helping their learners learn, read, and write, they will withdraw their children. So, yes, as school owners, we appreciate what you are doing, but let's blend the business of making money and the business of education. Let it balance. Let us create a balance in it. If you want to use it as a means of making money only, then in the long term, your building will be there and you realize that the learners will not be there. I want to appreciate you, Reverend, for this insight and expose. I believe there are more we could talk about, but time always bound us to work within the limited resources we have.
Yeah.
So, Reverend, I appreciate your time. And concerning the awareness you spoke about, one of the things I've decided to do is to ensure that the schools that are willing, my consult is there to help them. I do school monitoring and supervision. If you want to build a good reading habit in your school, it starts with the teachers. Empower your teachers how to teach phonics in a very logical, systematic approach that by KG2, all your students are ready for primary one. By primary 2, 3, they are ready to even go beyond 4, 5. You see, there is a lack of understanding of child psychology in the private school system. And there's a training I was having, and then I told them that, look, the example of the U sound, teach them the U and the A together so that when you are doing the application, they will understand that that is how it is. So they said, oh, no, 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 they are too young to understand that. Who told us?
Let them
The,
know.
the foundational level where the brain of every child is ready to absorb much information is from zero. I'm saying zero,
If, yeah.
0 to 7 years. You see, it is not a mistake how the forerunners of education segmented the various age and classes children should be. It's not a mistake. They understood the psychology of development and the cognitive developmental stages. So please, our children we have in Africa are not dumb. They are not um, second-hand thinkers
Yeah.
or second-grade thinkers. They are as intelligent as any other child on this universe.
It's true.
It is how we teach them that determines how creative and intelligent they will become in the near future. This is a challenge to all of us. If you're a teacher, a school owner, a parent, most of our parents are so much unconcerned. They wait last minute when the child is going to write BEC. before they look for extra teacher for the child. When they are going to write SSE, then they look for another teacher. In between, when they need to really realize that, look, my child by 6 years, 7 years is not able to read and write, and there should be immediate remedy. Oh, Osa is a young boy, is a young girl. When he grows a little, he will know how to do it. So we always want to give excuses. Please, no child is born intelligent. I believe if we want to advance literacy development in Ghana and Africa, the key is phonics. I'm not talking about jolly phonics. I'm talking about traditional phonics. And then even traditional phonics, there are many ways of teaching it. Let's engage the research of teaching and learning phonics.
Yeah.
And let's, as educators, relax and joyfully help these learners understand the science and reason behind the words formation and how they can read in a relaxed, flexible, mentally exciting environment for them to own the process of learning throughout their lives. Learning is not only in the four corners of the school system. Outside the four corners of the school is where real learning takes place. Once again, learning is not only limited to the four corners of the classroom. So let's prepare the minds of our learners by the right skills, methodologies, and skills so that their curiosity, their mental ability is carried along wherever they find themselves. That is where critical thinking comes in. There are many problems around us. We need teachers who start teaching, engaging the mind in a critically exciting and curious way for the learners to understand that, look, whatever you are looking for is right within you and your ability to use the power of the mind to create solutions. The black man is as intelligent as any other person on this continent,
Yeah.
on this globe. Let's look at our educational system very well and do the right thing. Thank you, Reverend.
Thank you so much, Aaron.
I appreciate your time once again. My name is
Thank you.
Aaron Lodstone.
I'm
Most
Reverend
welcome.
Justice.
If
Thank
you
you
want
so
to reach us for training, capacity building, any other thing, great. You can reach us on Aaron Lodstone on Facebook, DM me, or you can call +233 0242 548430. Whether you want it online or in person, will be available to give you the right tools you need to let your school shine. Thank you, Reverend Justice.
Thank
And
you,
thank you
Aaron.
for all viewers. Let's share this message. It's part of the awareness creation, as Reverend Justice said. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye bye for now.
Bye.